Welcome guys, and this is chapter 13. We got one chapter to go, and I'll make sure I complete analyzing or I finish analyzing the chapter before Christmas. And by the way, sorry for keeping you waiting. This is chapter 13. It's a very brief chapter. For that reason, I'm going to give you both the synopsis of the chapter and the themes in the chapter. The chapter begins with Dr. Abiola Afolabi visiting Fiona Mackenzie, and he is warmly welcomed. Drinks are served and they are happy. I don't know what is happening. Are they falling in love? I don't know. But by the end of the book, you should be able to tell that. Later on, the two are joined by Nick Sentinel. Of course, you know who he is. We get to know it is the first time that Dr. Abiola Afolabi is meeting Nick Sentinel. It is also revealed that it is Nick Sentinel that gave them the trick that enabled Dr. Abiola Afolabi to put Path Alpha in the summit's agenda. Remember, it was not in the agenda or among the agenda. And this was made possible by the use of technology. Nick Sentinel got the silent listener, and the silent listener had come up with a method that enabled them to choose Path Alpha, or that will enable them to choose Path Alpha or way Omega. The method is called the choice matrix. Later on, through Dr. Abiola Afolabi, we get to know that the presidents themselves are troublemakers, yet they condemn troublemaking. And as the book ends, Dr. Abiola Afolabi promised to organize an observer status for Fiona Mackenzie. He promised that he could do so for Nick Sentinel, and Nick Sentinel agreed, but then he said that he's going to ask his boss to tag along. Now my question, who is Nick's boss? Give me your answer on the comments. Now we move to the themes, the major issues, the concerns that have been raised by the author. We have several, but remember they could be more, provided you support them with evidence from the text. And the first theme is the theme of technology, and page 171. The silent listener had come up with a method which is called the choice matrix. That is on page 171. And Nick, I think you're underestimating it, said Dr. Afolabi. On to another subject now. Might you have learned through your listening listener? No. The silent listener. Yes, of course, the silent listener. Has the silent listener told you whether a method for choosing between way Omega and Path Alpha has been found? Yes, it has. It tells me the method committee has named it the choice matrix. So we have technology. And number 2, we have corruption. Path Alpha was not in the summit's agenda, but then Dr. Abiola Afolabi used Nick's trick to bring or to put Path Alpha on the summit's agenda. You see that method, it's questionable. And again, they had to keep it under wraps. They did not reveal to the chair. That is again on page 170. Page 170, the second last paragraph. Sure, Fiona, I'm glad you made it possible for me to meet Nick, sorry. No, I'm very glad you did. I cannot thank you enough. Without your tip about the trick, I would not have managed to put Path Alpha on the summit's agenda in the first place. So the method that was used to put Path Alpha on the summit's agenda, it's questionable and it's a trick. And number 3, we have secrecy. In this case, Dr. Afolabi did not tell the chair, the summit chair, about the trick in advance. This was to prevent any sort of mischief. The second paragraph. Nick, Dr. Falabi says, shaking his head in disbelief. Our presidents condemn troubles, but some are themselves troublemakers. Early knowledge of the trick would have enabled them to plot mischief. Yet, by doing as little as keeping such knowledge under wraps as confidential, has the chair not cut them out of the loop and block them off? So you see, in that case, they kept the trick as secret. They did not reveal it to the chair. It was kept under wraps or as confidential. Secrecy. And lastly, we have poor governance, and this can be supported by the presidents themselves. They are troublemakers, but then they condemn troublemaking. The same paragraph. Nick. Dr. Falabi said, shaking his head in disbelief. Our presidents condemned troublemakers, but some are themselves troublemakers. That's all about chapter 13. One more chapter to go. In case you have any query, shoot me on the comments. And in case you have something to add on, talk to me in the comments. So guys, thank you so much. Let's catch up on chapter 14.